What's happening, family? It's MirrorCheck.Podcast coming to you guys with another fire episode. But before we get into this episode, can you do us a favor? Please visit our website, www.checkyourmirror.com. Once again, www.checkyourmirror.com. We have some amazing products and services available for you guys on our website. And if you want to join the family, please go subscribe. You'll actually receive a special promotional offer code via email or text message, depending on your preference. If you just go ahead and subscribe and join the family. We have some amazing products and services on our website. We have this place called Motivational Corner. So if you're going through something throughout the week and you need a pick-me-up, visit our Motivational Corner. We have some great videos on there. They'll help inspire you. They'll help motivate you throughout the week. Also, if you ever thought about starting your own podcast, look no further. MirrorCheck.Podcast, we're here to help. You'll be able to rent out our podcast equipment. All you have to do is just visit our website and schedule a time and date to rent out the podcast equipment. When you subscribe to our website, you will receive newsletters letting you know what MirrorCheck is working on. Also, you'll be invited to special events hosted by us, as well as early access to product releases. Our podcast is streaming on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Transistor.fm, YouTube, and now on iHeartRadio and also Pandora. Look at God. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, MirrorCheck Podcast, and follow us on Instagram, MirrorCheck Podcast, TikTok, and Twitter, MirrorCheck_. Remember, if it's always someone else's fault, your mirror's dirty. Time to check your mirror.
Yo, what's going on? It's your boy, Willie Beeman, back in the building one more time, man, aka Steaming Beeman. Y'all know what it is. Give y'all another nickname, but this is my segment, the Beeman's Quarterback Sneak. Y'all know what it is. I always got to come with, some different topics that we can hit on and we can talk about. And I was hitting y'all with that sneak attack. Y'all already know that's the definition of a quarterback sneak, man, is to get that extra yard or to go the extra mile or to get that touchdown, whatever it is they got to do in order to get the job done. And so I want to get back on here, man, and kind of, break bread with y'all again. But this topic, I believe this is one topic that a lot of us, can relate to. This is a topic that, a lot of us, struggle with, whether it's with, people or whether it's with yourself. This is one thing that I want to share, and it's something that I've experienced, past, present, even the life that I'm, pursuing to live now. This is a great topic that I feel like we can talk about. And so the topic for the Beeman's Corner is forgiving yourself. Forgiving yourself, man. I believe this is something that a lot of us, wrestle and struggle with when it comes to forgiving ourselves, whether it's from, childhood experiences, whether it's from, relational issues, toxic relationships, failure or different things that didn't go right or different things that you planned to do and it, went a wholly, totally different direction, or you tried to go for it and didn't go the way you wanted it to go. I believe this is a great topic for us to hit on and do what we need to do in order to move forward in the right direction. So I just want to kind of get with you guys, on this topic and just kind of share, whether you're a believer or not, whether you're a follower of Christ or not. I believe this is something that's, can take heed and we can learn and grow from. And I kind of want to just share with you guys, some quotes, that I believe, that are powerful and that can help you understand what forgiveness, really means and what it looks like and how it's demonstrated. And also, from the perspective of, biblical principle, because that's what I stand on. That's what the MirrorCheck Podcast, what we stand on, God being our, giving us that favor and doing what we're called to do, in this space. And so, giving you guys some biblical principle on that and also some stories related to that or what it looks like for that to be, demonstrated. And so just to kind of, kick this off, I want to share with you guys a quote, that I've, researched here and I think it's very, very powerful, and it says, the truth is, unless you let go, unless you forgive yourself, unless you forgive the situation, unless you realize that the situation is over, you cannot move forward. I'll repeat that again. The truth is, unless you let go, unless you forgive yourself, unless you forgive the situation, unless you realize that the situation is over, you cannot move forward. And so I believe that is very, very profound. It's very powerful, when it comes to us forgiving ourselves, because it's one thing to, forgive someone for what they've done to you, the trauma, the past hurt, the past pain, being broken, being humiliated, being embarrassed, being rejected or belittled by your peers or people that you've grown up with or certain relationships or even your parents or whatever the case may be. It's one thing to be forgiven by others or receiving that forgiveness by others, but it's another thing for you to free yourself. It's one thing for you to forgive yourself and understand that if you have not let that situation go, if you have not forgiven yourself, you've not let go of those past failures, those past traumas, those those thoughts that you may wrestle with at night or throughout the day or whatever the case may be. If you've not gotten to a point in your life to where you've letting those things go, then you really haven't forgiven yourself. You really haven't freed yourself from those things that's holding you hostage. It's almost like uh, being shackled, in chains or in bondage. You're really not free. It limits your mobility. It limits you, from doing things that you're called to do. It limits your possibilities. It limits your creativity. It limits your characteristics. It limits different things that God wants to do in your life or allow you to move forward. And so, if you're that person that's listening, to the segment, you got to get to a point in life, man, to where you really, really, really look your own self in the mirror and forgive yourself and free yourself from those past traumas, from those past pains, and from those past situations or circumstances that you might have encountered or experiences. Because I believe a lot of times we go through things as adults, but we never really took the time to sit down and take care of those things that we went through in our past. I heard a lot of speakers, whether it be in the secular space or the spiritual space, that when we go through certain things in life, you know, and it take a toll on us. It's almost like we're reliving, those moments. We're reliving, that childhood experiences. We're basically, let's say, a 40-year-old person, but living as a 10-year-old child, if that makes sense. And so a lot of times we go through life, not forgiving ourselves from certain situations, and we're reliving those things as if we were still a 10-year-old kid, a 5-year-old kid, a 15-year-old, teenager, in a sense, to where we really haven't freed ourselves, from those situations and trauma and pain. And so we got to get to a point in life, y'all, to where we're really allowing ourselves to be free from those things, allowing God to come in, man, and free us from those things. One of the scriptures says, "To whom the Son sets free, is free indeed." And another scripture says, "To where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty." Liberty means freedom. Liberty means deliverance. And so those who are listening, to this segment, man, you got to get to a point in life, man, to where that thing, has to be freed, has to be, lifted off of your shoulders. At the end of the day, we can't, walk this walk by ourselves. That's one thing we got to realize. We can't walk this walk by ourselves. We have to surround ourselves with like-minded people, other people who are on the same path, the same wavelength, to think the way we think, and different things like that, in order to to grow and move forward and what God allows us to put our hands to. And so like this quote says, man, unless you let go, unless you forgiving yourself, which is the first step, unless you forgiving the situation, because a lot of times we're taking hostage from the situation, really haven't let the situation go. It probably could have been a week ago, probably could have been a year ago, probably could have been 5-10 years ago, and because we haven't let go of that situation, it's still haunting our past. It's still hunting our present, the lifestyle that we're trying to live now, and really not being free from those things, And so, one thing that we've talked about on this Mirror Check podcast is, you got to get to a point to where you're getting that, counseling. If you got to sit down to get counseling from somebody, if you got to sit down with a licensed therapist and, to free yourself from certain situations and to move forward and what you need to do, then do that thing, not be so prideful. And I'm even speaking for myself, to be able to sit down with that person and do the things I need to do in order to grow and flourish. And so I can also, share for me, even the current situation. I'm not gonna get into the details of it, but even for me, allowing me to be free, from the things that I've done. Because at the end of the day, we're human. We make mistakes, we fall short of certain things, and so you know, we make bad decisions, we make poor choices, things like that. And so sometimes we allow those things to consume us, we allow those things to get the best of us, and knowing that at the end of the day, we're going to make decisions, based off emotion or feeling or not really getting the right direction, in that case. And so, I'm guilty of that as well. On this podcast, we're always men of vulnerability. We're always men of being transparent and sharing with you guys our experiences. And so there's some poor choices that I've made. There's been some bad decisions that I've made and different things like that. And so I have to also, look myself in the mirror and allow God to let me know that, hey, son, you were forgiven. But you got to allow yourself to be forgiven from that thing. You got to allow yourself to be free, from that thing. You got to allow yourself to let go of that thing and to move forward. And another situation, even from, biblical perspective, like I was saying, there was this time where Lot and his wife, got specific instruction, from God Himself. God sent angels to Sodom and Gomorrah, right? And giving them specific instructions on to leave this place. This place wasn't pleasing to God. God wasn't feeling it. He wasn't having it. The things that were going on in this place was very, very perverse and very wicked. And so God specifically sent angels, to Lot, and his wife and Abraham and all those to get out of this place and go to a place where I need you to go, that place called Canaan. And so getting these instructions, God coming down and destroying this place as this is taking place, Lot and his wife is on the move. They're on to a better, environment. They're on to a better place. They're on to a better season. They're letting go of the past. They're letting go of what used to be and not what it looks like, in their present. And so as they're moving forward, in this journey, one thing that happened was Lot's wife, disobeyed God. God specifically told her not to look back. God specifically told her not to look back at the situation. And I believe the reason why Lot's wife looked back and, was disobedient towards God is because a lot of times we're so connected to a thing, or we're so consumed with a thing that it's hard for us to let those things go. We're so connected to it, it's hard for us to be free from it because it's, it's comfortable to us. Sometimes I believe comfortability can not also be a blessing, but sometimes it could be a hindrance. It could be a handicap when we find ourselves getting too comfortable, with the thing. And so I believe even with Lot's wife, because she was disobedient in that moment, God turned her into a pillar of salt and she lost her life. And so now you have Lot and his family or his children trying to move forward, in this place in the season that God has called them to, but at the same time losing his wife because of her, act of disobedience. And so sometimes that can rob us, of us getting the deliverance that God wants us to have because we're so consumed, we're so comfortable and holding on to what was. And God's trying to give us better. He's trying to give us more. He's trying to give us, something different, something new, something fresh. It's almost like, man, when you get that new car, you get into it, you're the first owner. Nobody has driven it. It's fresh off the lot. You know what I'm saying? And you get into that whip and you smell the new car smell. The seats smell good. It ride good. It's smooth. All those different things. That's because it's new. That's because no one else has driven it. That's because no one else, has, put their feet in it or driven it or different things like that. You're the first owner. And so from a biblical perspective, God was trying to give them something new. And because Lot's wife wasn't having it, because she was so consumed or had a love for something that she was comfortable with, it cost her life. And I just believe we can apply that to our own lives as well. When we're not, really taking heed to what, God is trying to share with us or certain instructions or certain things that He's trying to get us to do, it can really cost us a lot of things, in life, not literally, but, metaphorically and different things like that. It can cost us, our peace. It can cost us our joy. I'm saying? It can cost us, our happiness. It can cost us relationships. It can cost us many different things when it comes to, what God is trying to do in our life. And so, man, we got to get to a point, like the quote said, unless we free ourselves from it, unless we forgive ourselves, unless we leave that situation behind and know that the end is the end, unless we, know that the situation is over, unless we know that God has forgiven us, we can't move forward from it. We can't move forward from that situation. And so I just want to kind of, share that with you guys and help you guys understand, what forgiveness, actually, looks like. And so I want to share another one with you guys. This is somebody, that we know well. The great Nelson Mandela. This dude is definitely a figure that we follow. Somebody we take heed and get wisdom from. Somebody who was definitely in jail, in prison for years, but through his humility and through his faith and what he believed in, he was free from that situation. Being in there for years, I don't know. I can only imagine being in prison for that long and having to deal with that, deal with the hate, deal with the rejection, but still come out on top, man. That's that could be hard for a lot of us. And so, but he did it. He conquered it, man. And so one quote that he mentioned was, resentment is like drinking poison and then hoping it will kill your enemies. Let me say it again. Resentment is like drinking poison and then hoping it will kill your enemies. So, in other words, when it comes to the definition or the meaning of forgiveness, forgiveness is not really for the person. Forgiveness is for you. Forgiveness is for you to free yourself from what you're going through, from that pain, from that trauma, from that resentment, from that malice, from that rage, from those different emotions and different things that you got going on the inside that nobody else sees. Forgiveness is mainly for you, because at the end of the day, once that situation has moved on, that person has moved on. They enjoying their life, they living their best life, they're enjoying their family, they're enjoying their livelihood, they're enjoying the things they need to do. But at the end of the day, you're the one that's wrestling that night. You're the one that's frustrated. You're the one that's irritated. Why? Because you haven't let go of the situation. You haven't let go of what the situation was. You haven't let go of what happened, whether it was a year, 10, 5 years ago. And so you got to get to a point to where forgiveness is mainly about you freeing yourself. Forgiveness is mainly about you doing that. And so I want to leave this last thing with you guys from a biblical perspective. Then I'll wrap this up. This is coming from the man we know, Jesus Christ himself. This is Luke 23, verse 34. Then Jesus said, Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they do. And they divided his garments and cast lots. Let me say it again. Luke 23 and 34. Then Jesus said, Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they do. And then they divided his garments and cast lots. So I close with this, y'all. I heard this from shout out to Dr. Anita Phillips, for the In the Light podcast, man. I follow her, man. Go follow her. She's a dope woman. She's a minister, but she's also a licensed, counselor, licensed therapist. So I love how she intertwines both, on her episodes, man. One day we'll get her on. It's coming. But she definitely has some dope episodes. And she had an episode here recently called The F Word. Not the cuss word, but the F word, forgiveness. And basically she used this as an example. And she was like, why didn't Jesus, use that statement, at the end of, him being on the cross? Why was his last saying is, I commend my spirit? Why did Jesus start out saying, forgive them, for they know not what they do? And the thing she said was the reason why Jesus started out with that statement is because he had to make sure that he went through the process the right way. He had to make sure that he didn't go on this cross on behalf of us having salvation with resentment, with malice, with hatred, with rage in his heart, knowing that he was rejected, knowing that he was ridiculed, knowing that he was beaten, knowing that he had thorns, put on his head. And so he had to start off with that statement saying, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do, so that I can go through this process the right way and make sure that the people have access to eternal life, make sure people have access to salvation. And so I believe that was very, very powerful and profound, knowing that he had to start off with the posture of having the right heart. And so that's all I got for y'all, man, for the Beaming Quarterback Sneak. Had to hit y'all with that sneak attack. That's all I got, man. Y'all stay blessed. Peace.
Thank y'all for tuning into another episode of MirrorCheck Podcast. Every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, we will release new content. Again, every Wednesday, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, we will release new content on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Deezer, Transistor.fm, also on YouTube. Yes, YouTube, we will have video from now on. And also, we'll actually launch the audio on our website, www.checkyourmirror.com. While you're there, subscribe to our website. You will receive a special offer in your email if you go ahead and subscribe to our website. We also have this special place called our Motivational Corner. if you're going through something throughout the week and you just need to be picked up, be encouraged. We all need to be encouraged along this journey. So we created this thing called Motivational Corner. Go check us out. Go look at some videos. Go get motivated. Get your mind right. Finish the week strong. Let's get it. And we always leave you with this. If it's always someone else's fault, check your mirror. Your mirror's dirty. So what I want you to do is look at that person in the mirror, take self-inventory, and also take self-accountability. It's time to just look at your flaws, accept your flaws, turn them to greatness. Alrighty, y'all be blessed.